Welcome back. So in the first part of the video we looked at creating this nice, simple Guess Who style game, just using our triggered animations to make objects disappear as they fade away. I've taken this one step further, as I like to do, and here's one that I prepared earlier. So immediately you'll notice I've just changed the design a bit. I've changed the rectangles to be rounded and I've added a 3D effect. I'll show you how to do that in a moment. Other things that I've added are this reset button and a check answer button. So now the game works in a similar way, so they can click on shapes to make the words disappear. The reset button brings everything back if you'd like to play again or if a mistake's been made. And this check answer is designed if you've got the final answer already in mind. So if, for example, I've picked the word and someone's asked some questions, maybe the first question, is it a colour? And I say no. So then the student would decide to get rid of the green and the blue. So this works quite nicely with the student at the front of the class controlling the board. It can also work very nicely with the student deciding which other students to ask for questions to. It can be all helped and guided by the teacher. There's lots of ways and variants you can use this game in your classroom. So the next question may be something like, is it a city? And again, the answer is no. The next question, is it a verb? The answer is yes. So hopefully the children and the students will be trying to think of questions which can help eliminate the most possible answers. The next question, is it an infinitive? Yes. So now we're left with just one answer. We can check it, and I've already prepared the slide to show what the answer should have been. And you see we had the correct answer. It was comer, to eat. So how did we do all that? First, let's take a look at creating the 3D shapes. That's very nice and straightforward. All you have to do is draw the shape that you want. So I think I used rounded rectangles. And then in the drawing tools, there's different shape effects. So the presets are probably the easiest thing to use, and you can just put on a 3D looking preset shape. You can change lots of the effects, so maybe the front bevel, you want it to be indented. If you want that type of design, you can change the rotation of it, you can change the edges, and that's all that you need to change the shapes, to have them looking nice and smart. The second thing is this reset button. Now the problem with the shapes disappearing is that they don't reappear. One way that you could get everything back to normal would be to go back a slide and then come back. But I thought what would be nice is one button which has an animation. That animation is to make all of these shapes fade in. So, for example, I could select my shapes. To select more than one shape, hold Control as you click, and you can select lots of different objects. Animate. I want to add an animation so that maybe they fly back in, and then all I need is a trigger for this animation. So let's create our reset button. It could just be a circle. Let's add the word reset. And all of these animations, we want to have the trigger of our reset button. So on click of, and that will be oval 4, because it's the last thing we added. So now, whenever we click on our reset button, it will bring everything back in. The final change was this check answer. So on the next slide, I've decided what the final answer should be. It was comer, to eat. All that the check answer button does is move to the next slide. Now normally you can move to the next slide just by clicking. So if we had the game, we could start, and then clicking will take us straight to the answer and spoil the fun a bit. So the first thing that we need to do is disable this clicking. So in order to do that, in the transitions pane, we have on the very far right side, advanced slide on mouse click. We want to make sure that's unticked. Now when we run the show, if you click in the white space, nothing will happen. The next thing we need is this shape or hyperlink to the next page. Again, we showed this in the first tutorial. All we need to do is insert a shape. The action buttons are the easiest way to do this. So we want a shape that will hyperlink to the next slide. You can do this with your own manually created shape. So if you wanted to use an arrow, you would have to edit it, right click, hyperlink, and then choose the slide number which shows your answer, which in my case is slide 4. So now we've got lots of ways of getting to the next slide. We could either click on this action button, it will take us to the answer slide, or we could click on this arrow, and again it will take us to the same place. The final thing that I did was just added a nice effect for the answer to be revealed. In order to do that, you go onto your slide with your answer. In the transitions window, you can have different ways that this slide can transition in. So it can cut in, it can fade in. You'll see a brief preview of what it looks like, how it will move from one slide to the next. So you may choose to have the answer dissolve, checkerboard. I went for a honeycomb pattern, and that's just a nice and easy way to make your answer reveal. So that's our game. Just with a few changes we can get it looking very nice and professional. It's not going to compete with an Xbox, but it should still be an exciting and interesting way to finish your lesson. As with all resources, the most important thing is how you use it in your classroom. So hopefully watching this tutorial has got you thinking of lots of different ways that you can incorporate these style games into your lesson. One small change that you may choose, which I thought would be a nice idea, would be to have 2 boards. An example where you might use 2 boards is you could have one learner from each side of a class, so have the class divided into 2 halves. One learner from each side coming up, representing their side of a board, and they pick a word and they choose who to ask from their team to provide the questions, and then it really is a race to try and get it narrowed down to just one answer as quickly as possible. I'll put these slides and this PowerPoint on the website, thegeekyteacher.co.uk, so if you would like to download them and modify them for yourself, you can do that. Hopefully you also now know how to create your own, so if you wanted to add more shapes, a different design, if you wanted more rows, more columns, you can do all that through the first tutorials. And otherwise, again, another fairly long presentation. Hopefully you found it interesting and useful. Make sure to leave any comments and feedback on the website. I'm always looking forward to hearing what else people would like to know about. Until then, this has been me from thegeekyteacher.co.uk, wishing you good luck geeking out.